Throughout history, women have navigated through many challenges in the financial sector, often finding themselves on the periphery of economic power. Despite these historical constraints, they have steadfastly pushed the boundaries, transforming the financial landscape. Today, women not only participate in finance, but also drive innovation and inclusivity, breaking ceilings and paving the way for future generations. Credit stands as a cornerstone in personal finance, influencing many aspects of life. A robust credit score can be the key to unlocking favorable financial terms, whether it's securing a mortgage, renting an apartment, or even landing a job. Understanding credit involves grasping the intricacies of terms like credit score, credit report, and interest rates, which are fundamental to managing one's financial health. Effective credit management not only opens doors to better opportunities, but also builds a foundation for long-term financial stability, making it an indispensable tool in navigating today's economic environment.
Claire, kick us off, because Ladies Get Paid has been such a big adventure. Ladies get paid, ladies get sued. How does Ladies Get Paid address the financial gaps that have historically kept women from advancing?
Yeah. I started Ladies Get Paid in 2017. It was my kind of answer to just frustration and anger around the wage gap, asking myself as an individual, how do you combat something systemic? And long story short, I just started to bring women together to talk about money and quickly realized that negotiating our salaries was that kind of individual, tangible way that we could at least close our own wage gaps. And also being able to say to each other, if I undercharge, I'm not just hurting myself, I'm actually hurting you. That collectively, we need to be raising each other up to get our raises. And that also then led to, beyond talking, learning, education, classes, a Slack group of 55,000 women exchanging more than 3 million messages, making sure that we're actually following through on the inspiration we get from that education. And it's not just asking for more money, right? There's a lot you need to be doing before and after, growing your money too, which I know we're going to talk about. It's holistic in many ways. And that ladies get sued part, yes, I did get sued by a group of men's rights activists. It sounds funny until you're sued by them. But it ended up being a blessing because it grew our network even more. And I got a book deal out of it. So thank you.
Publicity can be good.
Yeah.
Bola, talk about, like, from your perspective, because you have a focus on financial education, what are the most critical areas where women still face challenges today?
So I would definitely say that it would be around building financial confidence. I have conversations with women in the Clever Girl Finance community very often. And I think one of the biggest challenges is feeling that you are worthy to achieve financial success, that you are worthy to do well with your money. And it really just stems around building that financial confidence, because when you think about it historically, as women, money has never really been deemed our place, right? Where we are in this space where we're seeing these like huge television shows being romanticized on TV, like Rejection, and there's another one on HBO Max called The Gilded Age. And there was this idea that a woman's goal in life was to aspire to get married. And so we're coming from that era into a space where, money was just never really deemed our position. We were meant to stay home, take care of the kids. And even when we became working class, right, thinking about the revolutionary era coming out of, the different wars where women had to actually come in and help the economy. When we started earning money, it still was not deemed our place. And so there is this like generational ingrained idea of we are not good with money. And so it's really helping women dispel that idea that they're not good with money and helping them build financial confidence. And I think that's one of the challenges, because we are good with money. We are great with money when we have the right tools. We invest really well. We can save really well. We know how to build wealth when we have the education. And so that financial confidence, I think, is one of the biggest challenges.
So important. Patrice, on the Redefining Wealth podcast, you've challenged the traditional notion of financial success. How have these traditional views held women back? I think that's a little bit of what Bola talked about. And how can we redefine them to empower more women?
Yeah. So on the Redefining Wealth podcast, what my mission is to support women and not just looking at wealth through the lens of just money and material possessions. Yes, that is so important. We all know that. However, there is no real personal finance success without personal development. So when Claire talks about women not asking for more and not having those conversations, or Bola talks about the financial confidence piece, those things really come from personal development work, and yet we continue to look at them like they're two separate things. And so at Redefining Wealth, my mission is to make sure that women don't just think about wealth in terms of money and material possessions, but that we look at the original 12th century definition of wealth, which was actually the condition of well-being. Whenever we are well, and what I call the 6 pillars of wealth, these are the parts of life that impact our finances, even when we're not thinking about it. So we can be perhaps asking for the raise at work, or we can be starting the businesses, or we can be, dipping our toes into investing and all of those things. However, if there are some beliefs and behaviors in different parts of our lives that are contradictory to our efforts, we'll be in a spiral of self-sabotage. And so that's what we desire to support, like these ladies with. I want them to take the actions. I'm just getting them prepared to take the actions that everyone else tells them.
That's amazing. Lisa Wang is in the house. Lisa, I say Wang. Do you say Wang or Wang? I want to ask you first.
I say Wang, but I know it's Wang in Chinese. I mean, I was born in Madison, Wisconsin, so I say Lisa Carmen Wang, and that's how it is. And when I'm in China, I say Wang Lisha.
Perfect. Okay, well, we will continue to confuse everybody. Lisa Carmen Wang, welcome to the show. I'm just going to put you right on the spot since you got here. Your book, The Bad Bitch Business Bible, it focuses on empowering women to break free from societal norms. How do you see these norms influencing women's roles in finance?
Well, I call it good girl brainwashing. And good girl brainwashing is all the societal and media messages that train women to play small, be silent, and not prioritize their own dreams. And it causes good girl habits like people pleasing, perfectionism, not asking for our worth, not demanding our value, and worst of all, settling. So I always say bad bitches never settle. And this idea of settling for mediocre opportunities, settling for things that are beneath what we know our value is, settling for less money. And a lot of it comes from this scarcity mindset that is created by good girl brainwashing, when we have been told over and over again that we are not enough in our being, that we are not prepared enough, we are not smart enough, we are not brave enough, we are not powerful enough. And all of these continual messages put us into this scarcity mindset, making it feel like we aren't deserving of money, that we, don't have what it takes yet, that we're still not ready, we're still not perfect enough to ask for what we're worth. And so, we've seen over and over again, women tend to lower their prices. I believe it was, 66% of women lower their prices before the client even asks. And this is the same when I see female founders pitching, the male founders coming in and saying, I'm the next Elon Musk, I'm building the next billion-dollar business. And then a woman who comes in, maybe even building something very, very similar, says, well, maybe I'm building $100 million company. I'm not sure. Oh, sorry, I'm sick today. Just excuse me for a moment while I get everything ready. So it's all of those, you hear the insecurity. And I think that, at the end of the day, even coming from an investor perspective, we say, there's a reason why we bet on the jockey and not the horse. It really comes down to the level of conviction someone has in their ability to succeed, to make money, and to then be able to command a level of worth and their valuation of their company. And so I think all of this, I heard snippets from before, is again really about your perception of yourself and your perception of your own value, and then how that is then directly reflected and manifested in the amount of money in your bank account.
Lisa, I read that you once felt held back by fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of what people would say, think, or do. How does it feel to show your most authentic and powerful self?
Oh, I mean, I have a podcast on the Bad Bitch Empire podcast episode called How to Be a Bad Bitch When You're a Sad Bitch. And so this isn't to say that I don't always, I still have those ups and downs, but I think that what has changed coming from someone who used to be, you know, deeply insecure, someone who I was very, very shy, very introverted. I couldn't speak on stage to save my life, much less even in a classroom. And I think it came down to learning how to love my own voice and to really, really embody this feeling that my own opinion of myself was more important than anybody else's opinion of me. And especially being at, you know, the face of this brand and the forefront of this, the amount of, let's say, judgmental comments I've gotten from more conservative people, from older people who are like, why do you have to use the word bitch? Why do you have to, you know, be so provocative? And I'm like, well, first of all, being a bad bitch is a great thing. Like, so get with the times. And second of all, it's getting that sort of, let's say, those judgments really forced me to level up. And you know, I can't say it didn't affect me, because it did, but it forced me to, again, really dig deep and say, can I really walk the walk? Can I really walk the bad bitch walk and truly believe in myself and believe in my own opinion and weight that as the greatest, so that I can really believe in myself and push forward?
Well, I will say that this is the most times the word bitch has been used on the Inspired Money podcast. Does everyone agree? Like, does it require being bold to be successful as a woman?
I would say that it does require being polarizing in your ideas. Even with redefining wealth, it's so simple. The idea that the original 12th century definition of wealth was the condition of well-being and happiness. And even when I started out on that crusade in 2017, when I launched the podcast, I can't tell you how many people wanted to argue with me about what my beliefs were. And I think that no matter what, all of us, all these women who are represented here who have these brands, the most important thing is that we have true conviction around why we believe what we believe. And I do think that you have to say it until other people believe it. And so if you don't start with owning that, it's one thing to know it, it's another thing to own it. In order to be or do well with finances, business, entrepreneurship, career, anything, it really does come with a sense of just having conviction that I believe this so strongly. I'm willing to go all the way in order to bring other people with me. And that's the only reason that I'm still here, is because I believe this so strongly. And I want to take everyone who feels aligned with my message with me. But a part of that boldness, and I just want to, give Lisa her props, because a part of that boldness is understanding that we all have these different messages, but we share the same heart to help women move forward in their finances, their career aspirations, their entrepreneurial journeys, whatever that is. But people are going to hear us all the time, but they're an audience. And what I've learned in this game for over 12 years now is that an audience just means a body of onlookers, a gathering of onlookers, but there are people who are assigned to each of us. And so my conviction is in the fact that I am here for the people assigned to me. There are going to be people who never resonate with me, and thank God for Bola. There'll be people who never resonate with me, and thank goodness for Claire, right? But I'm not here to try to get all of their people. I'm here to stand boldly in my conviction and make sure that the people who feel aligned and assigned to me are attracted to me from the moment I open my mouth. That's it. Everybody else, go to these other girls. They're amazing. Other women, excuse me.
Yeah. And I just wanted to add to what Patrice said. I agree 100%. That boldness is so necessary. Having that conviction is so necessary. And as women, we have to build that thick skin, that alligator scale-like skin, because what I've found in my experience doing what I do, and again, talking to women in my community, is that people will show up and show out when it comes to Women's History Month, when it comes to talking about women equality, when it comes to talking about gender wage gap in the big spaces. But when you get into the small rooms, people change and their opinions will change. I have been in situations, Andy, when you interviewed me about that $100,000 savings story, where I went to speak with a male advisor, and his biggest concern was where I got my money from. I have been in situations, Lisa, in your space, where I've tried to raise venture capital, and I have gone into those meetings with big boldness and conviction and told them I'm building this huge, incredible business. And the question I was posed to, right, with from VCs who were women advocates, who invest in women brands, who want to see women win, the questions I was asked was, what does your husband think about this? Oh, you should wear high heels when you're coming to talk to male investors so they take you more seriously. Oh, don't talk about your children at meetings. It is too much baggage. And so we really have to be bold, because especially on this platform where each of us has created, where we're trying to empower other women, we have to showcase our boldness, because this is how we are going to bring women with us, because in their own small spaces, they're also facing that resistance. Again, on the big platforms outside, on the stages, everybody is all for it. But when you get into those small spaces, people's opinions change. And so that boldness is so necessary, because you can't waver on your conviction and around your beliefs. Otherwise, you get demotivated, you start feeling small, and you start feeling less confident, and you want to hide, and then you feel like you can't achieve the things that you want to achieve in your life and with your finances. So that boldness is so necessary.
Something just to quickly jump in on that. I think for anybody listening and they hear the word bold, sometimes we can feel like bold has to look a certain way. And I think it's important for us to reflect on, how do we, in our authentic individual expression, express boldness? How do we do it in a way that's authentic to us? So something that's worked really well for me is vulnerability. My boldness comes from sharing. I have a podcast where I coach women. They don't have their camera on, so it's protecting their identities. My belief is that transparency is transformative, and I've also been the one who's getting coached by a money coach. And I'll share that, with people. That's how I raised a bunch of crowdfunding after I got sued by this group of men's rights activists. It was letting people in behind the scenes, the nasty comments I was getting, and saying, guys, this is hurting. Let's rally. If you care, if you believe, this is my process. This is, helping people participate in your process makes them feel like they are being bold with you. And that boldness can rub off, and they can use that in their life in the way that makes sense for them. But I always love to have people think about, when they go in to negotiate or put themselves out there in some way, it might not be doing it like me and sharing my personal life on social media, but we all can take a step to just grow a little bit bigger.
Whew, so good. And I think a quick takeaway there is that being bold, being powerful, being effective, it doesn't always look the same for everybody. So really powerful stuff. Let's go to segment 2. We're going to talk a little bit about the how.